And we are live. Welcome all to the last of the show code webinars with the Kudos as part of the Kudos blockchain development program with Showcode. We hope you've been enjoying the program up till now in terms of all of your various learnings throughout the course and picking up various things in terms of your developer journey with Kudos. Yeah, we're here joined today with Pete and Mariana. So Pete Hill is from our partnerships team, and Mariana is from the Kudos Foundation. And they're joining us to chat a little bit about the broader ecosystem of Kudos and where your projects can end up going after they are built out. And everything we're keen to see building on the Kudos chain. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Pete to take it from here.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. I'm actually going to raise my chair a little bit. Just realised I'm there we go. Let's try that for size. So yeah, I can't see anyone, but hopefully you're all there. So very nice to have the opportunity to come and speak to you. Thank you very much, Ollie, for the introduction. So my name's Pete. I'm VP of Sales or Corporate Development here at Kudos. And yeah, I think what we wanted to do is just recap on the actual ecosystem that we're building. So we'll give you a kind of full overview of the tech stack that we're building. Because it's all relevant, and you know, everything will come in useful at some point for you as well. And just kind of go through the kind of each individual layer of the technology stack and a little bit of detail, and then really talk about kind of what type of projects that excite us most, I guess, or that we want to come see build on our chain. And if there's any questions throughout, you know, there's a live chat here. I can see Ollie's just stuck a question or message into there as well. So feel free to ask away throughout, and we'll keep it as an open conversation and go from there. So I do have let me just see if I can show a deck here. 1 second. Let's see if we can support that. 1 second. All right, we'll come back to that in a moment. Slides, there we go. All right, presentation name. Ollie, is this just adding the slide deck into?
What you might find easier, Pete, if you have two screens, you can use the screen share button at the top. Yeah. There's 5 little buttons at the top, and just share your screen like you would in Google Meet.
Okay, all right, let's do that. That's a bit easier. So. Good. Ollie asked me to speak for half an hour, by the way, so I thought if I do this, then that burns 10 minutes. So here we go.
We've been known with some of these sessions to burn a little bit of time too. Some technical difficulties.
That's all good. Right, can everybody see that? Let me go onto the slideshow and it's a little bit bigger. Can you see that okay?
Yes, can see it. I think it's cutting off the very edges, so as long as the content's towards the center, which it should be, yeah, will be.
All in the center. Okay, so first and foremost, just to kind of give you an overview, the parent company, the labs company, if you want, so where all our engineers and our team are based, is called Kudo. So that's the parent company. And Kudos is the name of our blockchain. It's also the name of our token as well, but it's the name of our blockchain. And just a little bit of kind of trivia on that and why we called it Kudo and Kudos is Kudo is Latin for coin. So we felt that was very relevant, and Kudos it's kind of a play on word, but it's about giving praise or receiving praise. So, you know, we want to do good with our technology, and we want the ecosystem that builds on top of, you know, the applications that build on top of our ecosystem to also be, you know, doing good and making a difference in someone's life or people's life or disrupting the market in some way. So that's what excites us, all of this innovation, and you know how we can really build a very cool ecosystem that we're all proud of. So the technology stack itself is it's a carbon neutral cloud marketplace and blockchain ecosystem. So we do have 2 layers to our overall technology stack. The bit that you're familiar with is the Kudos blockchain, and that's really the infrastructure layer for Web3. But we also have a scalable distributed compute platform called Kudo Compute, which is the infrastructure for Web 2. And what we've been doing over the last few months is actually bringing those 2 layers together so they can communicate with each other. And we will very soon be launching, it's already being tested, and it's been live internally for a while, but we'll very soon be launching blockchain compute, which will allow you to access all of that scalable cloud infrastructure directly from the smart contracts, so directly from the Kudos blockchain. So big things are coming, and keep your eyes out for that. And I guess the real benefit for that is that if you are building on the blockchain and your application does need computing power, which most applications do, let's be honest with each other, then that's all available via the same technology stack, rather than you having to then go off to a separate cloud platform such as an AWS or GCP. So just to continue kind of the introduction into the company, what's very, very close to our hearts is creating something that is very sustainable. And we've done that in a number of different ways. The blockchain itself is a proof of stake network. So for those of you that are more than aware out there, I'm assuming that you have proof of stake, you have proof of work. There are a number of other types of consensus mechanisms as well. Proof of work, which is very familiar with Bitcoin and what Ethereum was, uses a lot of computational power to crunch calculations to secure the network. Proof of stake does it in a slightly different way. The network is actually secured by token holders, and the more token holders there are, then the more secure it is in that sense. It's kind of more like a bank. The more individual accounts there are for that bank, the more secure it is. So I don't want to go too back to basics because it will distract from what I'm saying. But the reason we chose proof of stake is because it uses a lot less energy than a proof of work network, which is kind of aligned with our ethos. And it's just a cleaner solution. So we offset all of the carbon production on that as well, on top of it, because it still does use some electricity, of course. And then for the computational layer, so that Kudo compute, that distributed computing layer that I mentioned at the beginning, we are making use of existing computing power that's already out there. So the primary set of supply that's coming into our network that we want to attract, so anyone is able to contribute computing power into the network, will be certainly at least, and we want to make use of that available computing power that's already out there, because a heavy amount of the CO2 cycle is actually in the development and the manufacturing of the server, not once it's been turned on and for the rest of its life cycle, once it's based in a facility or wherever that's going to be. So very, very close to our heart, and that's kind of why I put a little bit of emphasis on that to start with. Now, talking about the Kudos blockchain, because this is why you're all here, we made a conscious decision after months of research. We made a conscious decision in early 2021 to build within the Cosmos ecosystem. So we've used the Cosmos SDK. It was tried and tested. There are other blockchains out there, including Cosmos themselves, that are built using that same SDK. And so it came with a lot of benefits in terms of there were modules that were already available for minting NFTs, for governance, for the actual consensus mechanism that uses a protocol called Tendermint protocol, for example. And another reason is because they were at the time developing, it's all live now, a protocol called IBC, so the Inter-Blockchain Communication Protocol, which provides a high amount of interoperability. So it's kind of like a bridging technology. So any of the individual Cosmos-based chains that have IBC integrated means that they can all communicate between each other. So that was another kind of really attractive point for us, because our long-term vision is to be able to provide computational power to any blockchain. So by building within the Cosmos ecosystem to begin with, that at least gives us those IBC integrated chains, and then we can expand from there. The other part is because it's proof of stake, same benefits as other proof of stake chains. It's low cost on transactions, and it has a much higher throughput than what were the kind of incumbent proof of work chains out there. And another part of the blockchain is just all about how we can unlock utility and revenue for the token holders. We'll come back to that in shortly. Okay, so just to give you a complete picture, the Kudo compute, which is a scalable layer underneath, we have done the kind of comparisons, and so far we've done this with a kind of video rendering job. So video rendering is when you're taking a new movie or TV program, it could be an animation, and you're processing that to beautify it essentially and get it ready for for kind of public consumption. So with the video rendering, we did that as a side-by-side test against AWS. And we were actually around about 10 times more cost effective on that, with about 30% upside. So, you know, those metrics will change for different use cases that we put out there. So AI might run differently to a metaverse node, which may run differently to video rendering, as I said. But it's a real kind of testament into the model that we're building, that we're able to provide better pricing, more availability, and more locations as well. So on the availability, what I mean by that is, particularly if you're coming from the blockchain space, you know, for you, if you're rolling out a metaverse and you need access to GPUs, you just don't have them on chain at the moment. So our solution provides a way to be able to access those GPUs directly from the chain. And location-wise, you know, because we've built a distributed cloud model underneath for which the Kudos blockchain connects to, it means that suppliers from all around the world are actually able to contribute their equipment into that network. So it means that we're not restricted to one or two environments where there's the right type of hardware for you to consume there. We can actually bring on a global market of suppliers into it. So just a quick view of some of the products that we built, and then I'm going to turn the presentation off, and we can talk about some of the projects we're looking at. On the left-hand side here, you can see just a quick screenshot of what we have built for the Web 2 interface. So this is Kudo Compute. So if you wanted to come in and connect via the user interface, which you see here, or an API, or a command line, then Kudo Compute is available to do all three of those type of connections. But on the right-hand side is the blockchain compute interface. So this is connecting via smart contract. So what we've essentially done is we've created a fourth way to be able to connect to cloud computing infrastructure, which is a real benefit for everyone out there that's watching this video and developing on Kudos. And then the last part I wanted to show you was just where we've come from as well. So some of you that are watching will be familiar or may be familiar with Kudo Miner. So Kudo Miner was our first application that we launched back in 2019. And it was really a kind of proof of concept. We wanted to see and make sure that there was a product market fit for people running an application on their home machines to start with, and then that kind of built up to more sophisticated facilities. But to begin with, on their home machines that were willing to run an application and run jobs, or the jobs would be automated, but run jobs and earn from doing so. So that kind of gave us the basis and the learnings for us to then start building Kudo Compute and Kudos blockchain. And then the long-term vision is that the home users, so those with gaming PCs and other types of devices, will be able to eventually distribute other types of computing workloads, such as the AI, such as the metaverse nodes, all the way out to those devices as well. So a truly distributed and decentralized computing network. All right, so that's enough of PowerPoint. So I'm going to get rid of that and stop sharing the screen. Yeah. That's good to see. There's no questions there on the right-hand side, so that's absolutely fine. I couldn't see that screen beforehand. So if any questions there from the team here, or would you like me to move on to, you know, what's exciting us project-wise?
Yeah, no particular questions that I've seen in the chat yet, or all from me. So, but I might think up a few while you're chatting as well.
Okay.
Pete.
Yeah,
It's been
feel
great
free to pipe in. Okay, so partnership-wise, you know, the nice thing about kind of blockchain is that it's open and it's permissionless, right? So anyone is able to come along, they're able to look at the documentation, they're able to kind of build the application they want to go live on a blockchain, and able to do that in a permissionless way. From a business development point of view, you know, we have a set of targets, if you like, and those targets are more kind of verticals that we would like to come and see build on our network or within our ecosystem. And they may fall into one of two main categories. So the first category is really, you know, the the type of applications that are going to require computing power, because that really brings our kind of technology stack together. So if I'm going to go out there, metaverses is a good area for us. It's a good target vertical for us, because with a metaverse, you need to have the blockchain layer to be able to create the assets, to be able to trade the assets, and those assets could be avatars, it could be land, they could be in-game prizes, for example. And be able, and the benefit of the blockchain there is being able to see that kind of value from those assets outside of the game, outside of the virtual world as well. So the blockchain has a very, very important part there. But the actual virtual world, or the immersive world, or the game, or whatever that's going to look like, still needs a lot of computing power. Particularly the ones, the kind of the AAA graphic ones that a lot of them are in development at the moment, that are being built on gaming engines such as Unreal Engine 5, or if it's a mobile version, potentially Unity. They require a lot of computing power, and that computing power can't be centralized either. It's because of the nature of the game. Gaming is a global market. There's over 2 billion gamers around the world, and they're in every single area of the world as well. So if you want the best experience from that virtual world, you need to be as close to the server for which you're streaming that content from as possible. And to kind of put that into context, you need to be within 20 milliseconds, really. So it's about 5 times faster than blinking your eye is where that server needs to be for you to be able to consume it. So that really kind of plays very well into what we're building with the distributed computing layer underneath Kudos, because being distributed, it means, like I said beforehand, we can have suppliers from all around the world. So we're able to provide that low latency edge computing to be able to support metaverses. So for us, that's a really key vertical, and one that we want to continue developing. And of course, with metaverses, there's similar use cases like blockchain games as well. So that also comes into it. But it's not just restricted to that. If you think of any type of application out there in the world, whether it's centralized or decentralized, those applications all need computing power as well. So if I was to take a DeFi platform, for example, that DeFi platform might be running deep neural networks behind the scene to be able to optimize their price prediction bots, or to be able to provide other kind of analysis, aggregation analysis services to their customers, to their viewers. So everything out there requires this computing power, and that's what we want to see come and develop on our chain for the reasons that that I've mentioned beforehand. So for me, that's kind of one key area. It's which applications are going to require computing power. As Ollie puts it, that's the kind of poster child partnership, if you like. The second area is sustainability, and the term ESG, so it's environmental, social, and governance, I believe it is, but that's the corporate term for it. But kind of sustainability and do good is kind of where we're thinking of that. And to give you some examples of that, we are working with a number of projects in Africa that are building smart city infrastructure, that are monitoring things like water treatment, and they're monitoring things like ESG spend as well. So if donations come in, or if investment comes in to those NGOs, so to those not-for-profits, then everything is being tracked on the way out, and that tracking is done via the blockchain, right? So it's a really good use for the blockchain. But for us, that's really important, right? So if we're building all of this highly innovative and new technology, let's use it for good, to help people, to whether that's bringing more people into the internet or into the blockchain, or if that's just helping put food on the table because we're able to find a new passive ways to earn. Whatever that's going to be, that's a big focus for us as well. It really aligns with our brands, and we want to make sure that we're trying to build that ecosystem as best as we can, so everyone within that ecosystem can also help each other, can also work with each other as well. So those are the two areas. There's a bit of a long answer, but hopefully that's answered your question from earlier, Ollie. And then to kind of give you some live examples of ones that are already building on us that kind of help us to enable all of these different things. We've already announced UFF Sports. So UFF Sports is right now it's kind of a blockchain game, but their long-term vision is to kind of scale into a full kind of metaverse. And UFF Sports is, I think it's Ultimate Fantasy Franchise Sports or something along those lines. Thank you, Mariana, for for nodding and confirming that. But you know, they've created these fantasy leagues, so they have like a fantasy version of the NBA and a fantasy version of the NFL, and they'll do the Premier League and other kind of big sporting bodies from around the world. And a bit like playing Top Trumps, they have the different cards that you're able to trade between each other. That's where they are now. They're going to be expanding into the metaverse, like I said. And by bringing all of these, all of the players that play throughout these leagues, all the way down to the grassroots, right? So it's thousands upon thousands of players. They can then eventually come into the games. You'll be able to meet them in the metaverse. You'll be able to play hockey against them, or American football against them, or soccer as you know, against them, whatever it's going to be. So it's really, really exciting. And you know, for our network personally, that means that we get NFTs being minted, traded regularly on there. There's a lot of computing power that needs to go behind the scenes to be able to render the artwork initially, but then also to support the gameplay. So it's a very, very kind of good partner at an early stage that we can help grow, and they can help us grow as well into you know, kind of a long-term relationship there. And then one other, just to kind of give you an example within Africa, because I mentioned about the kind of social good and what we want to do there, is we've announced a partnership with Tingo a while back. Tingo is a agri-fintech, that means agricultural fintech company. If you were to look at their website, you might think they're probably more like a telecoms company. There's kind of a thin line there, and they fall into both. But essentially, they have provided mobile phones to over 10 million customers in Nigeria, in rural Nigeria at the moment. And they're also developing these solar panel boxes that they'll be rolling out to the same customer base. And they've all been given out for free. So the idea is that there is a data package. You know, they do monetize it in the sense that there's a data package per month, a very low cost one. But they are very, very forward thinking in how can we help our customers earn from these devices or learn from these devices. And that all kind of builds an ecosystem where we come in and we provide a way to create passive earnings for that network. So we will be, when I said that at the beginning that we want to be expanding to different types of devices, mobile phones is absolutely one of them. So in the future, we will be able to send computing workloads out to mobile phones, the ones that match. And that helps put food on the table. That is given an earning to these people on their phones or on their solar panel devices, which they can then convert. They can spend within the ecosystem, or they can cash it out and they can use for food or whatever that may be. So these types of targets that we've got are not just a pipe dream. They are actually reality. We're making sure that they're reality. And it's all about kind of long-term sustainability of our ecosystem and making sure we're using technology for the right kind of thing. And then final one just on that, and then I'll move on to the final point, and then provide Ollie and Mariana the chance to speak. Is we have awarded a grant to Ferrum Network as well. So there's a number of grants that have been awarded so far. Ferrum Network was the second, I believe. And Ferrum Network are the best way to explain them is probably like a cross-chain services platform. So they have a product called Infinity Swap. Infinity Swap connects around about 6 different blockchains at the moment. So we will be, I believe we will be number 7. It's either number 6 or number 7 on that list. And it means that once that's in place, we then have interoperability between all of these different chains that are outside of the Cosmos ecosystem. So that's the important part, because within the Cosmos ecosystem, we've already got IBC. Outside the Cosmos ecosystem, at present, we're connected to Ethereum. But we will be connected to all of these other chains as well using the Infinity Swap protocol. So that's really exciting for us, because then that's just another step towards our strategy about how we can provide compute to all of these different blockchains, and just in general making it easier for people that are developing on multiple chains to be able to, to communicate between these different chains. Excellent. All right. So third part, and that Ollie, you'd love me to go through today. See part of the Kudo ecosystem. Well, I think the third part was pretty much covered in the second part. So yeah, again, this is really about the kind of social good type projects. It's just to reiterate, it's very, very important to us. It's close to our hearts. We would love to see our community here building stuff that is going to not only stand the test of time, but it's actually going to make a real difference, make a real impact. And we'd love to get behind you and support you in any way we can with those types of applications. So that's me. I think I know there's a bit of time left over, which I've left for questions. More than happy to answer them, but yeah, hopefully it was very useful, and feel free to reach out to me at any time.
Nice one, Pete. Yeah, so anyone feel free to drop some questions in the chat as well. But I thought to also ask, as we've edged into this new year of 2023, where you see the exciting stuff going in terms of the Kudos ecosystem, and almost a roadmap breakdown of how you see the year going for Kudos and its ecosystem.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, we made we had 4 major launches last year, 3 or 4 major launches last year. So we had the Kudos blockchain, we had the Kudos Foundation, which Mariana will tell you all about. We had Kudo Compute, so that's the distributed computing layer. And so we had 3. The 4th one has been launched internally, but we haven't done it externally yet, which is the blockchain compute. So that's coming up very, very shortly. So 2022 was a very, very successful year in terms of what we actually launched. And of course, those are the main categories, and there were kind of lots of different sub tools and stuff that we developed and put out at the same time as well during the course of the year. So 2023 really is now about scaling on those platforms. So it's about the user acquisition, the developer acquisition. It's about growing those numbers there and really kind of building that long-term ecosystem, as I've mentioned before. So first up, we do have the kind of blockchain compute that's going to be announced fairly soon with details of that. And I know, Ollie, you've probably got lots to speak about on that, and you're very excited, whether that's physical or not. I'm not sure, but I know you'll be making videos in the background about this. So stay tuned and check in, subscribe to our YouTube. But we've also got a very interesting product coming up, which I can't give you the name of yet, but it's effectively a tokenized infrastructure marketplace. So if you think about our ecosystem, we've come up with a way for people to be able to supply compute. We've come up with a way for people to be able to rent compute, and now we want people to be able to own compute, or infrastructure, should I say, as kind of more of the correct term. So the marketplace that we have created will be able to, suppliers will be able to tokenize their infrastructure effectively, which gives people an opportunity to be able to buy these tokens, which will essentially be NFTs. And earn a yield, but that yield is actually coming from the revenue being generated by that infrastructure. So it's a really kind of interesting concept. I think we're going to see a big wave of this happen throughout the market. I think it's going to be a trend because it's bringing DeFi, it's bringing infrastructure, it's bringing NFT technology together as that kind of that golden triangle, if you like. And it brings liquidity to otherwise illiquid assets, so it creates a new market as well. So we're really excited about that, and that's going to sit as a dApp on top of the Kudos network as well. And we'll be expanding it into lots of different types of infrastructure types. But first up, we will be starting with clean energy hash rate. And we're going to start with clean energy hash rate because that hash rate is coming from a clean energy source, which is the main thing there, right? So just wanted to just absolutely drill down on that. But because that hash rate is a Bitcoin hash rate, so it's proof of work, it means there's a 24/7 demand there. So anyone that's buying those tokens, those NFTs, we can guarantee that it's constantly earning a yield, from that, providing those machines are turned on in the background. So yeah, more of that will come out soon. That's very likely a kind of Q1 announcement, but just stay tuned. we'll provide more detail on that. And beyond that, Ollie, I think we're all sat here and we just want to see, a crypto winter is a builder spring. We hear that a lot. So we're seeing, lots of cool things being built and developed. And for everyone here, keep your head down, keep building, because that crypto summer will return, where the markets will return as well. So we're all excited to see what happens there.
Yeah, love it. And yeah, I think exciting things. I'm, as you say, very, very keen for the blockchain compute side, and I think tokenized infrastructure to, yeah, effectively commoditizing. I don't know what I'm meant to say, but commoditizing the computing infrastructure, I think, is a really, really interesting application. Things I'm very, very keen for. But yeah, I love that point on a crypto winter is a builder's summer. And yeah, we've seen a lot of interesting stuff starting to happen in the space as builders keep building, and we are one of those as well. Builders keep on building, and so yeah, that's why we're always excited for these types of events like this Showcode one, and for those of you who are part of this program. And yeah, want to make it as special as possible to see what incredible things you can come up with, which I will also chat a little bit more about towards the end. But yeah, I think for now we can probably switch over to Mariana, as I'm not seeing too many questions in the chat just yet. And yeah, so Mariana from the foundation. But thank you so much, Pete. It's been hugely valuable having you on and chatting to everyone here.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
All right. Can you hear me? Can you see my screen? Perfect. Let me put it here. All right. So hi, everyone. It's very nice to be here. I have been following this program from the very beginning, and I have been enjoying it. And I hope that you're enjoying this as well. So as Oli said, I am Mariana. I am the grant program manager at the Kudos Foundation. And I would like to, give you a brief introduction on what the foundation is and on the things that we're building. So the Kudos Foundation was launched to serve as a catalyst for the development and growth of the Kudos blockchain network in support of becoming a leader in decentralized cloud computing. The foundation was launched in August 2022. And its goal is to provide funding and support to the ecosystem. And, despite the bear market, we are very proud of the things that we have achieved during these past 4 months. So I'm going to quickly give an overview of the projects that have been successful in their application. And then I'm going to provide some guidelines on how to submit a good application and increase your chances to be successful. Before proceeding, though, to the successful applications, here are a high-level summary of the applications we have received so far. As you can see, most of the applications were focused on NFTs and the metaverse. The majority of them was in the startup category, and the applications were in different stages. Some of them were in the concept stage. Some had already created the MVP, and some that they needed help to go to the market. And honestly, we're very happy that so far we have received some good applications, and we have approved 5 projects that I'm going to show you right now. Our very first project is Showcode. The reason we're all here today, and I'm sure you all know that Showcode is a professional network for all tech communities where they get the opportunity to share, learn, and develop on tech platforms. And with the grant from the Kudos Foundation, Showcode and Oli and the rest of the team developed this live 6-week Rust and blockchain development program. And the grant is focused on basically attracting new developers to Kudos through this program and through our participation in 2 major hackathons, the Athena hackathon that took place a couple of months ago, and the Varsity Code one that I think is going to take place in the following week. So I'm sure you will be able to participate if you want. Ferrum Network, Pete talked about it before. It was our second project, and through the integration with MultiSwap, the goal is to drive the long-term growth of the Kudos blockchain. And this integration, we're hoping that it will encourage more TVL on the network, and of course make it easier for projects to build on Kudos. Our third project is Quickly. They received a grant aiming to motivate, reward, and grow the Kudos community. They built a light network of the Kudos blockchain and the Kudos token to the Quickly API and app environment. And our token now is available to more than 600 organizations, and it can be offered like a reward through Slack and Discord. And I think this was also an exciting project. Then we have UFF Sports. Again, Pete explained it better before, but this is the world's first platform that they bring ownership to the fantasy sports industry. They have developed, as Pete said, an entire ecosystem of fantasy sports ownership, and I think they're going to embrace international events of every sport in each level of play, not just professionals. And they received a grant from the foundation to change the blockchain component to Kudos. And last but not least, GFI Blockchain, another community project. GFI is a leading blockchain company in Vietnam. It's like a crypto hub in the country. And this project will benefit Kudos in Vietnam, through this comprehensive partnership that will include community development through events, regional meetups, competitions, online games, etc., and through documentation. They will translate our documents in Vietnamese, so I think this is going to be fun. So these were our 5 projects so far, and we do remain committed in supporting projects, developers, the community, by providing funding to as many projects as possible. So what kind of projects we're looking for? As you can see on the slide, we're looking for metaverse tooling, metaverse of blockchain game projects, DeFi products, and of course anything NFT related. So we accept applications that fall into 3 categories: developer, startup, and educational and community. And our grants can be from 5K to 250K. All right. So I know that winning a grant can be a competitive process, but I'm gonna try and give you some steps that you can take to increase your chances of success. So first of all, I highly recommend that you read our practical guidelines. I will share the link in the chat. It's important to read it, and it will help you understand Kudos, our goals, our priorities, and it will enable you to tailor your application accordingly. The guidelines contain also a list of the questions of the application form, so you can use that in preparing your responses. And then, of course, your proposal should be clear. It should outline the problem you're trying to solve, the solution you're proposing, and how your project will benefit Kudos, and of course the ecosystem You should be specific and include as much as technical details as much as you can. Then, of course, the application needs to have a budget and a timeline. You should clearly outline the resources that you will need to complete the project and how you will use the grant funds. Be sure to include a timeline for the different stage of the project and some milestones so that when our team reviews, they will be able to better understand how the funding will be used. And then, of course, when you're ready to apply, you can do so by visiting the website you can see on the slide. And I know that writing a project proposal can be time-consuming and sometimes confusing. So if anything is unclear or if you need help, feel free to reach out to me with any questions you may have. You can email me. I will share the email here in the chat as well. And that's it from my side. Thanks for your time. And I am looking forward to receiving good applications, and hopefully we'll get, the chance to collaborate. Any questions? Feel free to ask.
Yeah, thanks, Mariana. No questions have come through just yet, but yeah, always excited to see some of those projects coming through the grants program. And yeah, it's been some awesome ones so far. Obviously, we're here, as you say, because of the Showcode grant, and so we've been having some good fun on that front. And so hopefully, some of you have started to get through a lot of those challenges and are a little bit more keen on the side of Kudos and where things can go after the Showcode challenges now, with that knowledge of what the Kudos Foundation does, and how we support projects after they go through those sort of initial MVP stages as well. But yeah, thank you so much, Mariana. I'm going to chat a little bit now on the third challenge within the Kudos Showcode blockchain development program. So a lot of you are already through the first two, which has been cool to see. But that first one was your first smart contract on the Kudos blockchain. The second one was minting an NFT and building a front end to display that. So we've had two of our awesome dev rangers show you a lot of how to do things there. If you are still going through the challenges, that's absolutely fine. The challenges will exist online forever on the Showcode platform. But the final date for this specific program is the 24th of Jan. So get all three challenges in. Each challenge you complete successfully, you'll get a pretty cool Kudos NFT. Some of the first NFTs minted on the Kudos chain for this type of activity, at least. And so, yeah, we've had some cool NFTs created for you all. And also the top 5 projects each get $200 in Kudos tokens at the end of the program as well. So try and see if you can get into those top 5 spots there. But with that, so challenge 1, challenge 2, you've seen some of that. If you haven't, there are the recordings on the Showcode YouTube channel as well. And so that's where this webinar will be as well, so you can watch this back too. But with that, we come to the third bounty, and that is around a social good dApp. And so ultimately, we want to see you create something interesting, something you're keen to work on, something that you can see as viable, and potentially even get to a Kudos Foundation grant with. If you get to that point of the business stage, which we'd love to see. And so, yeah, it's pretty open in terms of how you'd like to tackle things. But with a lot of your learnings from the previous 2 challenges, you'll have the knowledge around interacting with the Kudos blockchain and hosting or building a front end for those engineers on that side of the stack as well. And so that gives you the skills needed to come up with something interesting that you'd like to build. Ultimately, again, the target of the challenge is to be something around social good. So Pete mentioned ESG earlier, that businessy term, but a lot of its goals are what we'd love to see in this type of thing. And yeah, actually, one of my favorite examples from past hackathons was actually at the Athena hackathon. The winner of the Kudos Award was a team that built a transparent salary platform that allowed members or anyone in the world to upload their salaries in a transparent way, get verified by businesses, and that helps to enable salary transparency, which is great for gender and race gaps in the workspace. And there've been a lot of interesting things around that based on a very cool project that we saw being built on the chain during that Athena hackathon, also part of Showcode. So I just love that example and thought to use that as a possible example. But if you have any ideas around sustainability, around using green energy, anything women in tech, diversity in tech, any community good type things, that's what we'd love to see built out for Challenge 3. And obviously, as I say, you get that sweet NFT at the end of it for completing that, and you can potentially win that $200 in Kudos tokens as well, which is a nice little additional there. And potentially get into a Kudos grant through the foundation with Mariana there as well. But yeah, what we're looking for is a dApp, as I say, that's using the skills from the past few sessions that interacts with the Kudos blockchain. And you can also host your front end using Kudo Compute, which again, we mentioned in the first session. There is some very small instances that you can use for free at the moment. Message me on Discord and we can get you set up with a free instance just until the end date there. And you can use those instances of Kudo Compute for free to host the front end of. And so, yeah, anything that interacts with, especially if you can interact both with the Kudos chain and run the front end on Kudo Compute, you're touching the full stack of Kudos as it currently stands, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so that's actually about it in terms of Challenge 3. We'll also be getting the challenge brief to you on the Showcode Hub, so the Kudos Hub on Showcode, so you can see things there and use that to submit to. But for now, that's about it from me. If there are any questions, feel free to post them now. Otherwise, I believe I've actually been replying to some of you on Discord while we've been chatting here as well. So, and I'm always there, or try to be always there, except when I'm sleeping, to assist on any of the technicals there in terms of your integration. So I have stressed this a lot. Do reach out on Discord. We're often there trying to be as helpful as we can, and yeah, we're there to assist you in getting to that goal of having built something pretty cool, something pretty good for the world as well on the Kudos platform. But with that, I think we could actually wrap up just a little bit earlier. So I think there's still 10 minutes to go, so you can have 10 minutes back, unless Pete or Mariana has any additional questions. But it has been absolutely awesome having the both of you on here. Thank you so much for your valuable time and for being a part of the Showcode program. And yeah, any of you can go and watch this back on YouTube after the fact, as well as the previous courses as well. With that, I think that's over from me. So Rom, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. I've been watching. But yeah,
nice.
Any questions from this, just feel free to jump on the Discord, and Ollie and I will be able to handle that. But thanks for your time, guys.
Brilliant. And thank you for everyone that's tuned in and is going to watch it on YouTube as well.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, we're looking forward to working with you closer.
See ya. Bye.
Happy New Year, Michael.
Bye. Happy New Year, everyone. Bye bye.
Absolutely. Happy New Year.
Bye.